They said the title was locked. Then Verstappen kicked the door in. 2 wins, a string of podiums, and a Red Bull reborn. Now the gap is shrinking, the pressure is boiling, and the final stretch could crown the most ruthless comeback of his career. But here's the twist. McLaren just sealed the Constructors' title, and Oscar Piastri still leads the drivers' standings. So the question is simple. Does Verstappen have enough time to finish the hunt? Stay with me. And hey, if Max keeps this up, the FIA might start testing the throttle pedal for fear. Kidding. Kinda. Mid-season, the story looked straightforward. McLaren, calm, clinical, relentless, pulled away in both championships, while Red Bull fumbled for balance and confidence. But in the background, the tectonic plates were shifting. Laurent Mekies had stepped in as Red Bull team principal after the stunning exit of Christian Horner. A reset at the top, new methods in the garage, and a sharper lens on where the RB21 was bleeding lap time. Then came the performances. George Russell won Singapore for Mercedes, but the real headline was Verstappen in P2, wrestling a tough weekend into heavy points while McLaren clinched the 2025 Constructors' crown under the floodlights. That sealed the team war, but not the drivers' fight. If calm efficiency won championships alone, McLaren would have iced this in July. Unfortunately for them, Verstappen doesn't do calm, he does closing speed, and closing speed is exactly what we got. Since Mekies' arrival, Verstappen stacked 2 wins and 4 straight podiums, cutting what had been a triple-digit deficit down to a chase. The official standings still show Piastri leading, Norris second, Verstappen third, but the Dutchman is well inside striking distance for the run-in. Let's get into the how. The RB21 didn't magically wake up, it was engineered back to life. First, the floor and aero grip. From Monza onward, Red Bull's upgrades, notably a floor concept aimed at restoring consistent rear load, started paying off. The car looked less nervous on entry, traction improved, and Verstappen could finally lean on rotation without tiptoeing in dirty air. Insiders expect more parts still to come as Red Bull keeps spending development hours to keep the chase alive. Second, operational sharpness. Under Mekies, the tone from Red Bull has been clear. No saviour narrative. He says it's collective work, better correlation, and cleaner execution that's dragging lap time out of the package. Translation: fewer setup dead ends from Friday to Sunday and strategy calls that don't overreach. Verstappen cashes in whenever the car gives him a couple tenths per lap to play with. Third, driver form and mindset. The champion's edge is back. Verstappen has admitted weekends haven't been smooth, yet the scoreline says otherwise, podiums even on off days, and a relentless approach that squeezes points from chaos. Remember Singapore? He didn't have the fastest car, but he still finished ahead of at least one McLaren on merit. Crucial when you're chasing 2 orange cars with 1 blue one. Quick pit stop, subscribe you legends. Back to racing. Fourth, McLaren under pressure. Their car is still the season's reference, but inter-team tension matters when points margins are razor thin. Hard racing between Norris and Piastri has flared at times. It's thrilling to watch, but it also risks lost points. With Verstappen lurking, one clumsy lap can cost a title. You saw how Singapore's lap 1 got spicy. Fifth, the calendar favours a hunter. Down the stretch, circuits with long straights and heavy braking zones offer Verstappen overtaking windows and strategy flexibility. He doesn't need to win them all, but he can't leave freebies on the table. 1 DNF ahead, 1 safety car at the right moment, 1 slow stop for a rival. That's how 60-point gaps become 30, then 12, then... wait, this might actually happen. And that's before we talk sprints, extra points, extra jeopardy, extra ways to break a season. Here's the reality check. McLaren have already banked the Constructors' title with 6 rounds still to go. That's historic dominance and a cushion against risk. But the Drivers' title math is less comfortable. Piastri leads, Norris second, Verstappen third, and Max is the one trending upward. If he strings wins with podium insurance, this goes to the wire. Zoom in on 3 pressure points. Starts and lap 1 etiquette. McLaren can't afford Norris versus Piastri elbows that invite a Red Bull undercut. 1 bad corner costs a position. 1 position flips strategy windows. Tyre management on evolving tracks. Night races and resurfaced circuits are volatile. If Red Bull keeps the tyres in the window, especially rears, undercuts become lethal. Verstappen's Singapore P2 on a tough day was a preview, upgrade timing and parc ferme confidence. If Red Bull drop a final efficiency plus downforce piece with clean correlation, Max gains lap time you can spend in traffic or bank in clear air. One clean step is all he needs to force McLaren to defend instead of dictate. What happens if a safety car flips a late race and Verstappen is the only one with a new set of mediums? Exactly. And here's a question for you. If you're McLaren, who do you back on the radio in a 50-50 call? Piastri or Norris? Think about the comment section exploding in 3, 2, 1. We've been here before. A late season Verstappen with momentum is dangerous. He has the racecraft, the aggression, and now increasingly the package. Meanwhile, Makeys keeps deflecting credit, saying it's the team's grind. Whether you buy that humility or not, the scoreboard shows the effect. With 6 Grands Prix and 3 sprints left when Singapore wrapped, this is not over. So here's the final lap. McLaren own the season's narrative for now. But if Verstappen converts form into results at 2 of the next 3 stops, the title picture flips overnight. 1 mistake, 1 upgrade, 1 call on the pit wall. That's the difference between orange confetti and a fourth quarter heist. If you want the deeper tech breakdown, what Red Bull changed on the floor, how it restored rear stability, and why it matters in traffic, watch my next video, Red Bull's hidden upgrade, how the RB21 found its grip. And if you're still here, hit subscribe, Pit Crew, because this title fight isn't just alive, it's hunting season.